on? We're on. Oh, I'm not ready. Hey, everybody. That's what I'm looking for right there. Woo! Hey, everybody. Welcome to Get Organized Challenge number 5, I guess. Color, is it number 5? It is 5, I think. Are we on to 6? Whatever it is. We are doing colors today. So we are talking about organizing all of those things that add the finishing touches and make your pages really beautiful, bright, and colorful. Markers, inks, chalks, anything like that that you own that you're maybe not using, because paints, because you don't even remember that they exist, right? So coloring things are no different than other things that we've talked about, where the things that are the freshest in your mind, so the most recent classes that you took or videos that you watched, and the products that you've purchased, so the most recent things that you've purchased, those things are in front of your mind and in front of your eyes on your workspace, and those are the things we tend to use all the time. But once we start using cataloging, even for our colors, then we're going to use more of them all the time. Not only are we going to use more paint, more ink, more chalk, we're going to use more techniques, because you're going to be reminded all the time of what you know and what you've learned and how to use those things in your crafting. So let's start with this week's winners. Woo! You know, I just have to say before we really get started, I'm having kind of a crazy, hectic morning today, so things might seem a little bit frenetic. We have 2 new people out training in the warehouse, and so I was out playing in the warehouse, which is something I love to do because it's all organized and neat and everything has a number. And I had a dash in here for class, so sorry if I seem a little kind of wacky today. Okay, this week's winners. First one, Natalie Shimonek. I'm sure I'm destroying your name, but her post, Karen sent it to me. You all need to log into Facebook and look at her post. Well, I'm sorry, that's a little bit, so it was really, really impressive to see all the work that Natalie has done and how many levels she's done and how much, you know, with each of her tools. And so her post, it's a little bit long, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want you to log into the Facebook group and check it out. So she says, hello, my tool systems are in place and I continue to work on my daunting, never-ending catalog. I deserve my reward from all the months it took me to finally get my tools organized. Woo! Way to go. Way to stick with it, Natalie, and just keep moving forward in what you're doing. So she just goes on to say she's got everything from Kiwi Lane to embossing folders, Creative Memories cutting system. It's all organized, and she took a bunch of pictures and put them up on the Facebook group. So if you're part of the Facebook group, log in and check out Natalie's post. And her last name is Shimonek, Shimonek. We'll try to get a link with her name in it in the post, because there's just really a lot of great pictures there. So congratulations, Natalie. Woodblock stamps, and she's got everything. She's got it all done. So congratulations. Our second winner is Marion Zerby, and she says, I already had a catalog for my stamps, but whenever I was looking to make a card, I realized I ended up looking through the entire catalog. Well, that was not saving me any time. So I rearranged my catalog with the 4-section system, actually only using 3 because there's no rainbow, and made copies of several stamps that belonged in a couple categories, added punches and frameless to my catalog, and due to some nasty winter weather, I had time to finish it all this week. Woo! I'm leaving this Thursday for a scrapbooking retreat, and I am packing up my stuff. I'm a little stressed out because I'm taking apart the nice paper organization I had on my shelves. I hope I remember how it all went back together. Oh, I should have taken a picture. Great point, right? If you want to remember something, especially if you're packing things up, take a picture first. Great idea. Too bad we don't get to travel for a couple more weeks. I can't wait. Well, Marion, you will, as you're traveling with your supplies, take a couple notes. What worked really well for you, and what do you wish you had more of or less of? Because we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks, and you will be able to remember your real life experience and maybe share it with us on Facebook. So congratulations, Marion and Natalie, and thanks so much for getting your stuff done this week. That's exciting. Okay, let's start with a good tip from Ginny H. So Ginny H took the challenge a while ago and sent in this little tip that said, I set up a new I set up a station to enter new items into my organization system. So she's got a box that has paper and glue and pages and pens and an ink pad and a stamp, all the things that she needs to catalog new things coming into her collection. She has scrap rack pages in there for embellishments and such that she's going to add to her scrap rack. And I thought it was just a great idea, right? If we make it easy for ourselves to continue to add to our catalogs, to put things away the right way the first time. If it's easy, we'll do it. If it's difficult, we won't. It just never gets to the top of the list. So make it easy on yourself. Create a little basket or a drawer or some little tool where everything you need to add things to your catalogs, to add things to your scrap rack or whatever storage system you're using are all right there and available to you in your room. Super simple and easy. What are our goals at this challenge? Our goals are to really be able to use all those things that we've invested in. Paints, pens, markers, chalks, inks, all of that stuff, right? You want to be able to purchase new products that complement rather than duplicate what you already own. Also a goal. The challenges here are everything comes in different shapes and sizes. There's different manufacturers and different labeling techniques and all of those kind of things. So you need to choose storage tools that are going to work for the way that you work, where you work, how you work, what kind of crafter you are. So keep that in mind as we're going through and talking about organizing things. The storage tools that you're going to choose are going to be the ones that are going to work best for you and the way that you craft. So at the very end of the presentation today, I'll go through the tools that we own. You're going to see a lot of them through today's little challenge, but we'll go through them at the very end. So if you want product information, stick around after the end of the class. I really encourage people, accessibility is key. So that's really one of the big things that you want to focus on. How easy is it to get to the things that I want to use, right? So I don't know, I use a hashtag on a lot of stuff, hashtag I write in color. And I try to always write in color. I have all these amazing markers and pencils and everything right out in front of me and at my fingertips. So whether I'm writing in my planner or writing a note, whatever I'm doing, I love to grab something that's colorful as opposed to just using a regular black pen. So keep that in mind. You have all of these wonderful, amazing things that you're probably never going to actually use up. So getting them out, getting them in front of you, and then just using them in your everyday life is just going to add a little bit of color to what you do every day anyway. And if you start doing that and you're posting things, I want you to hashtag it, I write in color. Okay, what's our first step? Do I even need to say it because you all already know? You want to gather all those things together that you are going to work with. So inks, chalks, pens, paints, however you've got them in tubs or drawers or baskets or wherever they are, try to pull them all together so that we can go through them, sort them, organize them, and catalog them, which is what we're going to do with color. So one of the nice things about this challenge is we're just building on every other challenge that we've done, right? We're talking about grouping things together in the rainbow, section 4, the 4-section system, grouping things together and then creating that catalog of them so we can find them and use them later. One of the things that I love, well, one of the things that I really like about markers now is the markers that have the color right, I'm going to throw that on the floor, right on the cap, okay? So when we're using markers, we want to keep double tip markers, we want to keep them stored flat. But we also want it to be easy to find exactly what we're looking for. So if you are using things like, brands that don't have the number on the cap, it's a little bit more difficult to find what you're looking for, but it's still very possible. But the numbers on the cap and the names on the cap make it super simple to pull exactly the color that you want right off your shelf or right out of your bag or however you're storing things. So we want to group products together by type in most cases, because most of us are Gloria Got-a-lots. If you are a Nancy Not So Much, you could group your things together by color. So if you're a Nancy Not So Much, you might take all of your blue markers, right? Blue markers, blue Nuvo drops, blue ink pads, blue glitter glue, and keep all of your things together by color, which is great and fine and easy as long as you're Nancy not so much. If you just have a few things, you're not collecting tons of ink pads, tons of markers, all that thing, you can group them together by color and then have all of your things, right? So Nancy not so much, all of these blue embellishments. Now I'm just going to be able to add all my other blue color things right in there. Because if I know if I need blue, any tone, any shade, it can go right in with everything else. I've got my little blue travel bag right here. I can label it on the side, blue things, find everything that's blue, or in this case, it looks like maybe there's blue and green in here, all in one fell swoop. So that's great for people who don't have tons of supplies. It makes it fast and it makes it easy, and you can see everything you have in every shade in one fell swoop. So the other nice thing about this type of bag is everything sort of stays contained. So if you're working on a project, you've got the tray out, you can work with the things that are in the tray, and then when you're done, you can just put it back in the bag, and then put that bag back on your shelf or in your tote or however you're organizing it. So Nancy, not so much. You can create a small catalog that has all of your products. You can do something, there's so many ways to create catalogs for this. So you might want to do something small like this where you just have everything on a little index card by color, right? You can do that same sort of idea in a scrap rack page. A lot of these ideas for how to, what products to use to catalog have come from you guys. So you sent in your ideas. So one gal put a card for each color just in a perfect 6-page, and then created the little color catalog there, right? So there's a million ways to do it. And if you're a Nancy not so much, you might want to create a small catalog. Although if you have everything together in one box, you're going to see all of your blue choices in one box. So the beauty, though, the side value of creating a catalog is that you actually get to see what those colors look like. Because so often the color on the bottle or the color on the pen or whatever it is, they're not exactly the color that's going to come out of that pen or out of that paint bottle. So creating the catalog has some benefits along that line. All right. So if you are Gloria Got-A-Lot, which most of us are, then you're going to create a catalog of items by color, right? And you're going to be able to reference back. So I have a couple of bigger catalogs here, include some neat ones, some messy ones. It doesn't matter how you want to choose to do it, right? Here's that ugly black and white paper. You've been seeing it over and over again because I'm never going to work with it. And it's white on one side, so I used it to create catalogs. Markers, inks, sprays, paints. If I want to add something blue to one of my pages, I'm going to flip to the blue section of my catalog. So if you looked at my catalog on my scrap rack, I have all my tools and supplies in the front section, and then I have the color catalog in the back section. So this page came out of there. So I could just flip through my colors here and choose the color and see all the colors and all the things that I have. And then the color, the notation by the color, is going to tell me where to go to find that. So this color right here, this turquoise paint, is in D18. So it has a little notation, D18. So if I want that paint, this is just like the catalogs we made for your tools. I'm going to go right here to this drawer number 18, right there in the front row. There's that turquoise paint, right? So super easy to find exactly what I want to work with and to also know what color those things are when they are marked down or when they're used. What is that really going to look like, right? So this color in the bottle looks very different than the color on my sample here. The other thing you can do is you can create catalog pages just like we did for our stamps, dies, punches. If you like a particular designer and you want to keep all of the colors for that designer together, you can create catalog sheets by designer as well as by color. So the color sheet is going to have both So this is Tim Holtz, for example. So the Stormy Sky paint by Tim Holtz is also going to be on the blue sheet. It's going to have the same number, Stormy Sky in drawer number 7, Stormy Sky in drawer number 7, so that whether I'm looking at it on this piece or in my Tim Holtz catalog, it's going to take me back to the same place. So exactly the same type of procedure, exactly the same idea, but we're just applying those ideas from last week into your color catalog. So when you're cataloging for color, there are some other things that are provided to you, to us, by the manufacturers, right? So if you love Copic, you can get the Copic color chart. Now, there are some links to this in the files and downloads pages, or I think it's called files. Karen, if you can tell me, is that called documents or files on the Facebook page? I think it was one and now it's the other. But we try to put links to all these types of things there. We're also adding the links to these, right to the Get Organized Challenge pages, I guess. So for the color page, if we have the Copic marker, if we have the Memento ink grid from the manufacturer, we're going to try and put a link at the bottom of that page. It'll be under the video. If you have links to certain products, whether it's colors or maybe it's to die catalogs or punches or stamps, please send them to us and we will add them to those pages as well, so it makes it a little bit easier for people to find what they need for a particular brand. So a lot of the brands have these available on their websites. If there's a brand that you love, there's a good chance you're going to be able to find their little grid on the website. And the nice thing about filling out these grids is, so I think, so this is the Spectrum grid. So I can look at this grid when I'm shopping online and know which colors I already own, so I buy things that complement rather than duplicate what I already own. So filling in the grid, first of all, it's kind of fun, and second of all, it gives you a good idea of what you own and what colors will complement what you already own. And like I said, we'll try to get more and more links up to those on the website as well. Okay, so one of the cool things about cataloging is actually seeing what your things are going to look like. So with this is a Stickles thing, and I put a strip of black paper into the grid so I could see what these colors were going to look like on light and on dark both. And this is literally a strip of paper that I cut and put on there. Well, that sort of evolved into printing grids that had the black strip already on them. If I can get through my pile here. So this is part of the Pika Hue set. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I just printed a dark black line, and then when I added color to it, I could see light and dark. Here's a warning, which I didn't know, someone else shared with me. Depending on the type of ink or toner that you're using, when you put the liquid on there for like a glitter glue or something that's wet, it could change the color of the glitter glue. The glitter glue will essentially mix with the toner and change the color. So I don't remember if it's laser that doesn't do that or if it's one of them does it and one of them does not. So just keep that in mind as you're printing things. You may be changing, the color may be changing. What kind of printer do we have downstairs? A toner printer. These were printed on a toner and it doesn't look like the colors are bleeding either. So on this one, all right? So keep that in mind. I'm going to tell you how to use these in just a second. Okay, so you're going to gather your colors together. You are going to number them if they aren't already numbered, and most of them are, right? So most of the markers or the chalks or whatever it is that you are using have a number and or a name. Numbers are easier to work with than names, so if you have something that just has a name, you may want to add your own numbers to it. These are the Tim Holtz Distress inks, and they're stored in an Edna bag. I made a couple of mistakes with these, which I'm going to share with you. The first thing is when I added the names to the outside, I just did it with a label printer. I put the names on the ink pad right side up. Okay, that seems like that makes sense, right? That's what we would mostly do. But we generally want to store our ink pads, or some brands anyway, suggest that you store them upside down. So if you have an ink pad brand that you are going to store upside down and label, if you put the label on upside down, when you're actually looking to choose it from your collection, then you are going to have the labels right side up and you'll be able to read them more easily. So with Tim Holtz, I created this little grid, which is also a download on our website. This is the Edna Buddy Bag, I think I said that. You can print this little grid. It's just an Excel document, and you can put the names in, you can give them a number, and you can put a sample of what the color is on there, so you can really see what those look like. And then in the catalog, I'm going to do the same thing on my Tim Holtz sheet. It's going to say, you know, Salty Ocean is number 11, and I'm going to be able to go to the buddy bag that has Tim Holtz 1 through 19 and pull out color number 11. So I'm just using the catalog to drive me back to where that product is stored. So super easy way to actually find exactly what you need. They're kind of on the middle shelf. They're in a white right there, about your arm height. There you go. Sorry, one of our light bulbs just went out. I'm telling Leanne where to find a new one. So, so this is an easy way and you can use this for almost any kind of ink. It happens to work really great in this bag because the way it's folded around inside the plastic little tray inside the bag. I have a little print out of that with holes in it too. I'm gonna find it and show that to you as well. Okay, so you're gonna gather things together and then you're gonna decide on your catalog. Do you wanna do 8.5 by 11? Do you wanna do 12 by 12? Are you gonna do index cards? What is the best way for you to organize those colors? And then you're just gonna work through, again, one box, one bin, one drawer, one tote, and you're gonna literally use every one of those colors. Why do you want to use every one of those colors instead of just writing a list? Well, the first thing is you want to be able to see what those colors actually look like when you have them on paper. But the second thing you want to do is get rid of things like this, right? This is a completely brand new unopened bottle of paint, but it doesn't sound very liquid, does it? So this is an opportunity for you to find things. I know it's kind of hard to see on the video, but this is a bottle of glitter glue, and all the glitter glue is dried up solid on the inside of the bottle. So by actually touching each thing and looking at each thing and cataloging each thing, you're going to be able to get rid of the things that no longer work, right? So whether it's a marker, so in this process of cataloging colors, I had a whole set of these Sharpie markers. The 2 blue ones are dried out. None of the other colors are dried out, but the 2 blue ones are. So I tested everything. I drew with it. I know how wide the lines are. You can draw with both ends of your markers so that you know the skinny side and the fat side. So on this one, I wrote with both the skinny side and the fat side so that I could actually know how big those were and what color they were and where to find them. Okay, so once you get your catalog created, you're going to need to store things so that you can find them, and that catalog, remember, is going to drive you back to where you're storing those things. So like we did with the stamps and stuff last week, you want to decide on how you're going to store those items before you start creating your catalog, because you need to note on your catalog where they are. So whether you're going to put them all into like a Deborah Buddy bag, or you're going to use something like the Pen and Ink Palace, depends again how you craft, where you craft, you're bringing things out, putting them away, what's going to work best for you. So for cataloging colors, we came up with a couple of different what we call Pika Hue color sheets. So if you want to work in 8.5 by 11, you can use the Pika Hue color sheets, and they are just a free download off the website. There's links to them right on the challenge page. And the Pika Hue color chart can be used for all of your colors. So here's a little color chart that I did using the Pika-Hue. Now this is the, there's a big line down the middle of this. Let me find one that has better holes in it. It'll be easier to see. Oh, here it is. So on each of the Pika-Hue color charts, you can fold them in half down the line, down the center line, and then you can use a hole punch to punch a hole through them. Why is that fun? Because if you're trying to match a color, get something here that's colorful. So if you have this pink cardstock and you want to match the perfect pink glitter glue to that, now you can put that pink thing behind and see through to see what color match that's actually going to be, right? So if you want to take that little extra step and punch holes, I just used a regular hole punch on this one. You can use a bigger hole punch if you want to get a bigger hole. So this is all Tim Holtz inks and paints, and you can see I just used a bigger punch. And these are just my regular craft punches. This one's a little round one, and then the triangle one. I like the triangle one because it kind of pointed off to the name of that ink or where it was located. But again, I just folded it in half and then punched the holes in it that way. And then now, so I've got two rows, but all of them fold like that, so you can get the double rows and you can punch holes. So whether you're putting everything together on one, so inks, chalks, paints, it doesn't matter. They can all go on a single sheet together, or you're cataloging things separately. So this is all green glitter things, right? You can do it either way. I like the idea of putting everything together so that you know what you have for inks, chalks, paints, everything that's yellow. These are all my options. And one of the beautiful things, just like your rainbow section, is if you think, oh, I'm going to use a yellow ink, and when you go to this page and you look at what your yellow ink choices are, you remember, oh, I have that yellow glitter glue. That would be perfect on this little sunshine page or whatever. You're going to be, well, your mind was focused on ink. When you see that other option that you have, you may end up using still the ink or the glitter glue, or maybe the two of them together. So you're just going to use those products more often. So the Pika-Hue color charts come in. This is the big box that has the larger box designs. This one is the one for glitter glues. So if you're doing separate ones, this one has the dark lines for glitter glue. And then this pattern right here is more designed around pens because it's just a smaller block. So you've got the pen colors there. Now this is Copic. I just wrote the numbers there for the Copic pens so I can track what they are as well. So you saw the one that the manufacturer gave us. It just had the little tiny boxes in it. You can use these to create a bigger box, which is nice if you're cataloging colored pencils as well, because, or even markers too. You can go dark to light on those markers in a little bit bigger box and see what those colors are going to look like. So our goal for this week then is to gather all those things together and create a color catalog that you're going to be able to use to reference back to where your supplies are. Now there are certain products that make it easier, markers with the caps that have the number on them. Some ink pads have some ink pads can be, and they're stored flat. You can see the color, number, and or name at the end of the ink pad, so that makes it even easier. Ink pads that don't have the color, the number, or the name on them, you can just write right on the edge of the ink pad or use your label maker like I did with the Tim Holtz. But get that number or name, whatever you're referencing, more visual, more accessible. And actually, when I did these Stampin' Up! Ink pads, they came with, you can see I have a color label on all four sides of these. They came with multiple labels in different languages. And then, so I just used a little bit of the labels on the sides and then the full-size labels on the ends, so I could see all the colors that I had in this, regardless of what side I was looking at on that particular product. So be creative with, if they're sending you multiple labels, the more sides that you label, the easier it is to put something away, and the easier it is to find what you're looking for if it's labeled on more sides. I think we talked about that before as well. All right, so this week's challenge is, I got to get ahead of myself. All right, I've already gotten ahead of myself. So this week's challenge is to apply the skills that you've used, cataloging your stamps, punches, dies, embossing folders, transfer those skills into your world of color, and then create catalogs. Now, here's the other question that I get regularly from people. Where do you store your catalog, your color catalog? My color catalog is right in the back of the catalog with everything else that I have, all the tools. It's right in the back. It's in the center of my scrap rack. Some people like their color catalog to be right with their color section, and some people create a color page and put it in with each color of the rainbow. Whatever works for you, wherever your brain is going to send you to look for those colors, that's where you want to keep your color catalog. Some people create 2 catalogs, especially if you're only doing 8.5 by 11, so they do 2 at the same time, and then they keep a full color catalog, and they put a sheet into the blue section of their of the rainbow section or the orange section, right? So when they go to that section, they see all those things and they're reminded of all those things. But if they're shopping or looking for a bigger variety of things, they have that second catalog where everything's in one place as well. So whatever works for you. If you're somebody who kind of likes tons of information, you may want to create 2 identical catalogs as you go, and then when you buy new things, you're gonna have to add to both pages of those things as well. Remember to label your catalog with where those products are stored. So you've got the name or number, and then where you're going to be able to find that product. And you may need to add your own numbers. Remember that. So things like glitter glues from the stores, those store brands, don't tend to have their own number. So if you just give it a number and then just stay consistent with how you're numbering, it's going to be easy to find what you're looking for. And it's the same method, right? We talked about last week labeling. Where are my embossing folders? They're in my flip and storage binder, or flip and storage binder number 1. It's going to be the same thing. If you have multiple shelves or bags of glitter glues, then you're going to label those shelves or those bags of glitter glue bag 1, 2, 3, and that's going to drive you back to whatever color you need. The other thing is, we talked about doing a catalog of colors by designer or by brand, and if you're somebody who submits your work for publication, or you're part of a design group or blogger or something like that, you need to know what brand each of those things is so you can do your write-up. So it's valuable, if you're in that situation, to create the brand catalog as well as all the products for that color in one group as well. Sue asks, my question is, should you put samples of your ribbons in the catalog? My ribbons are stored in a travel container that isn't the most conducive to being seen at a glance. I would say if you're not going to see those ribbons, and a ribbon is a thing that people tend to love, be sort of ribbon junkies and have lots of it. So 2 things about ribbon: you want to store it in the 4-section system. So all your ribbon by rainbow, and then ribbon by theme. So I know a lot of times you can get little ribbon that has soccer motif or football motif, or maybe I have this little set of back to school ribbon that has buses on it and pencils. So same thing, 4-section system for the way that you're storing it if you're a ribbon junkie. Preferably in a single layer so that you can actually see it. So those under the bed containers that are just like 3 or 4 inches tall, and if you're a ribbon junkie, so everything can stay flat, it's easy to take the lid off and see everything, is a great option. And I would absolutely put it in the same, I think we talked a little bit about washi tape, creating a washi tape catalog. I would do the same thing with your ribbon if you are unlikely to remember where it is or to even think about it because it's stored somewhere else. It'll tie you right back into looking at your catalog. So absolutely, if it's not conducive to being seen, find a way that you can remember it and see it. It's always nice to have that little sample anyway, because you can then compare it to the color of other things that you're using. So before you go searching for the roll of ribbon, you know it is in fact the right color that's going to match whatever project you're working on. So a small little sample would be good. Okay, I think that's it. I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute today. Sorry about that. Okay, so this week's challenge is decide on, and if necessary, purchase storage tools for your color supplies. So again, you want to keep in mind, are you someone who always crafts at home and you want to have your ink pads and your markers and everything out and visible, or are you someone who moves things around so you need to keep them contained in something like a buddy bag? So maybe you're somewhere in between where you're going to use something like the stash and store boxes. I'll talk about those all later after the wrap up. So decide what's going to work for you and get the tools that you need to be successful with that system. Gather all of those coloring agents together. Generally, I'm going to tell you to sort them by type and brand, because when you're storing them, well, brands that are going to stack together easily versus trying to randomly stack all different sizes and shapes of markers or inks or paints or anything like that. So it's better to keep them by brand and store them by brand unless everything's the same size. So when you talk about glitter glue, there's a whole bunch of brands that come in the same size bottle, but then there's also some different sizes of those as well. So ink pads, when you color box inks, Stephanie Bernard inks, color box inks, Anna Griffin inks, they're all basically the same size and shape, so they can all be stored in the same type of shelving or container. So grouping things together by brand and then like brands, Stephanie, Anna, and color box, that all are the same size, is going to be helpful as well. Second thing is decide what you're going to, what method you're going to use to create your catalog. Are you going to use 12 by 12? Are you going to use index cards? Are you going to use the Pika-Hue color sheets? Get those things together that you need to create that catalog so you can start creating your catalog. And then if you're going to do the manufacturer's catalog or the double catalog, keep that in mind. What do you need to create those two things? Your goal this week is to sort, store, organize, label 3 containers of coloring things. So that could be a box, bin, well, same as everything, same as every week, basket, however you've got those stored. You need to organize and catalog 3 of those. Make sure that you're getting rid of things that don't work, right? There's this weird temptation among crafters to not just toss things out like this. Dry paint, right? There's something in our heads that says maybe I could rehydrate that, or I don't know. Maybe you could use it for chalk, except you probably can't even get it out of the bottle, right? So you should see Leanne's face. She's like, wow, that's weird. It's just frozen up in there. So get rid of things that don't work. Don't give them to your friends or kids. Don't put them in the donate box. They just don't work, so just toss them out. Okay, then next you're going to post your progress on Facebook or send us an email progress post so we can put you into the drawing for the next week. And last but not least, you're going to enjoy your reward. So take advantage of whatever you decided was going to be your reward for this challenge. Complete your challenge and take advantage of that reward. All right, I think that wraps it up for the color challenge. I want you all to have a very busy and colorful week. For those of you who want to learn a little bit more about the products that we offer for storing and organizing your colors, stick around for a second and I will go through each of those products in our catalog. Thanks again. Have a colorful week and I will talk to you soon. All right, crafters, for those of you who are thinking, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to use? What are my options? Bye-bye, carts. I'll talk a little bit about what we offer. So let's start first with people who are crafting at home always in the same place, right? So that is where our desk-made product line really shines. So this is the Pen and Ink Palace. It comes in 2 sizes. This is the 15-inch pen and ink palette. This is a 9-inch pen and ink palette. This is the original design. And when I came out with this, everybody said, oh, we love that, but we need more. We need a bigger version. And so we've got the 15-inch one. They're both exactly the same in every other aspect other than the length. So the trays in the pen and ink palette pull out. They have a little lip on the back side so that things don't fall off. So if you're pushing something in, it's not going to drop off the back of your tray and down into the back of the box. But the idea is the flat trays allow you to store your markers flat, right? Your double tip markers, you can store them flat. Now, there's a few other options out there in the world for marker storage that also allow you to store your markers flat. What traditionally those containers have a divider for each marker, right? So each marker has its own little spot to go into, which is great and neat and tidy. The only problem with that is when you get another color that fits in between two other colors, you literally have to move every single marker in the tray or in the box to make a space for that other marker to go in. So when I loved the boxes with the little boxes for each of your markers, I'm not going to lie, I think it's adorable. I love anything like that, as most of us do, but it's terminally impractical because you're not going to be putting things in color order. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it's a lot easier and it's prettier too. So when I did this, when I designed these products, that was the main motivation for me to come up with something that didn't have those dividers. So if I bought a new color and it belonged right here in the middle, I could just slide it in between already existing markers. If my shelf was full, I would only have to move a marker down on each level or up on each level, and then I could slide the rest of them around. So rather than having to reconfigure everything, it allowed me to add things in the middle, push things out to the side. The flat trays, so it keeps your markers flat, but they also work great for inks. Now, on the website, the dimensions for both and how many inks they'll hold are on the website. So it's easy to see if you need a big one, a small one, two, whatever you need, but super easy, okay? So the pen and ink palette is great for ink pads, chalks, markers, anything you want to keep flat, or anything you want to be able to slide in and out on that small tray so that you can see things quickly and easily. So that's the first desk-made item, the pen and ink palette. Now when we're talking about things like paints, glitter glues, anything that comes in a little bottle or a little jar, that's where, as a stay-at-home, always in the same place crafter, the stadium arrangers are going to be a great choice for organizing those things. So this is the 6-level arranger, 4-level arranger, and this is just called the stadium arranger. So these are both 15 inches across. These both fit in your companion cart. So if you have the little white wire cart with the pull-out baskets, these both fit in the baskets. These both fit on the top. Well, they all fit in the baskets, but these fill the baskets. These both fit on the top of your paper cart as well. So if you have the paper cart and you've got your paper underneath and you want to have all of your glitter glues or your re-inkers, paints, whatever in the top, one of these is going to work well for that. If you, Leanne can pan back a little bit. I'll put these away right now. So right over here I've got the 6-level stadium arranger. And up here, I have the 4-level. So this particular, don't laugh at what an addict I am for glue. I don't know what it is about adhesive, but I love it. I buy it constantly. I have vellum, I have dots, I have runners, I have squares, I've got permanent, I've got it all. I love it. Glue dots, pop dots, sheet adhesives, they're all here. But this is the 4-level. So the 4-level is a little bit wider. I also have a 4-level right here turned on its back that's loaded up with themes of washi tape. You can kind of see how that looks. Now, the stadium arrangers, the two big ones, they do have hooks on the back, so that if you wanted to hang that on the wall, you can actually hang either the 4-level or the 6-level stadium arranger on the wall. So this is perfect for 1-inch bottles, jars, so glitter glues, re-inkers, those type of things. If you use these are the little shaker shapes. Hi, Petey. These are little shaker shapes from Queen and Company, so those fit in there as well. And then this one is a little bit wider. I think it's actually 2 inches wide. Let me, before I give out false information, just under 2, so like 1 3/4 inches. So that's going to fit bigger paint jars and that type of thing. All right. So that covers DeskMate. So DeskMate is great for people who always craft at home. You're not always packing things up and putting them away. The Stash and Store boxes are kind of a crossover because you can. So Stash and Store comes in 3 designs. You've got the 3-drawer, the 5-drawer, and the 7-drawer. 3-drawer is primarily for ribbon. The 5-drawer was designed for washi tape. It'll hold over 100 rolls of washi tape. The 7-drawer will hold inks, paints. It has small bottles on the top down to the larger bottles at the bottom. 3 Stash and Store boxes fit in 1 IKEA type cube, or if you bought a cube system at Michael's or one of those places, 3 of the Stash and Store boxes are going to fill a cube. So depending on what you're trying to store. I also at one point used the 5-drawer, red and orange, blue and green, metallic. So I had each drawer loaded up with things by color, as I kind of showed in the bag in class today. So if you are a Nancy not so much, you may be able to get your entire rainbow of coloring things into the 5-drawer, into a couple of 5 drawers. Now the drawers on those pull all the way out, so you can bring them to your workspace, use the products that are in the drawer, and then take the drawer and put it back. So if these are on a shelf somewhere away from where you're working, you're able to pull those drawers out and bring them with you. Each of the drawers, inside each of the drawers, you're going to find these little perforated cardboard dividers. So the cardboard dividers are what help your products stand up and stay straight when your drawer is not full. You can take them out if your drawer is full, which most of us are going to have full drawers. And then you get a little bit of extra space. But as I mentioned, they're also perforated. So if you only want to use 1 divider, you can rip the dividers in half or into thirds and just use the ones that you want. So each of the drawers in all 3 boxes have the perforated cardboard dividers in them. So when you buy them, it looks funky because a lot of times the dividers are kind of out of the drawers in there. But it's all going to be easy to get to. Okay, so that's Stash and Store. So these are for people who craft at home but might move their things around. They do have a little handle on the top of the box, but they are not designed to travel with, right? You could probably destroy them throwing them in and out of the back of your car or in and out of your crop tote. This is the one I showed with the markers and the glitter glues and everything added to it. This is the 1.5-inch punch pack. So, or Stamp Store and Go, punch and go, whatever they're called. I think they're listed as Stamp Store and Go bags or something. So these come in 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and a 2-inch bag as well. This is the 1.5. So if you have more products and this is that way that you want to go to organize them, you might want to go with the 2-inch punch pack, or less products and you could go with the 1 inch. So the depth of it is what I'm talking about. It's going to be 1 inch, 1.5 like this, or 2 inches a little bit bigger. All of them are 8.5 by 11 dimensions on the interior, and all of them have this same little pull-out tray. So I talked about that in class as well. You can pull the tray out, work with the products that are in the tray, throw everything back in the tray, put it in the bag, and put it back on your shelf, right? So super easy, or drop it into your crop tote. So Stamp Store and Go, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, or 2 inch. This is our Color Keeper stand and store. So it's perfect for pencils. It will also hold markers, just not as many. So you can get 72 pencils into the stand and store. It folds up into this nice little stand. So if you're coloring, you've got access to all of your pencils pretty easily. It has the little color grids that you get to color in. So this one is for the back. I have my clip for my rotating design board there. This is the color grid for the things that are in the back pocket, and it is the flap that covers over. If you're traveling with this, you're going to pull the flaps closed and fold it up to take it with you. Super easy. So if you haven't seen this product, I have to undo my sides here. So there's just a couple of little hook and loop bands with elastic on the side, and then it just folds up. And now you've got all your pencils ready to go. Big pocket on the back is going to hold your color book or your coloring sheets or your rotating design board, which is generally what I put in mine. So that is the Color Keeper stand and store. I think I'm kind of going out of order. That was probably the first thing I was supposed to talk about. And then last but not least, we have a huge variety of buddy bags that work for everything from markers. So we'll talk markers first. This is the Denise buddy bag. Denise has 3 interior trays inside the bag, which is why the markers stay standing up even if it's not full, right? So obviously if the bag's full, the markers are going to support each other, but the 3 little trays in there, I don't know if you can see that, how the little divider trays in there, that keeps everything standing up. So Denise was designed for embossing folders and dies. She works with our medium-sized die and stamp pocket, but she's a great, if you're a marker junkie, she's going to hold a ton of markers, and the shorter ones. So Copic, Spectrum Noir, Colorista, they're all going to fit in the Denise bag. So you can carry her like this, you can store her like this, but when you're using it, you're going to be able to open it and pull things in and out. So you're going to store your double tip markers flat. One of the questions people ask me all the time is, they say, well, I like to have the Deborah bag, but I know I need to store my markers flat. How do I do that? And the answer is just turn it on its side or store it this way. Right now your markers are flat, and when you're going to use them, you just can stand up the bag. Both the Terry, which is good for longer markers like Tombow, Stephanie Bernard, Artist Loft, those are going to fit nicely in the Terry bag. And the Deborah bag, they both operate the same way. When you open up the lid, you can roll it back. It has an extra piece of hook fabric on the back of the bag, so when you roll back that lid, it's going to stay open, and now you can get to your markers while you're working. So Deborah is ideal for shorter markers. So these are Zig, Copic, Spectrum Noir, Stampin' Up, that length of marker, perfect in this bag. If you have something that's a little bit longer, Artist Loft, Stephanie Bernard, Tombow, you're going to want to use the Terry bag. The Terry bag will also work for markers that are like the length of Zig as well, but it just has a little more height for those slightly longer markers. So markers, Denise, Terry, or Deborah. Ink pads all over the map, all different sizes, right? So whether you're using, this is Sue. So Sue is perfect for Stampin' Up. You can get 10 Stampin' Up ink pads into a Sue bag, 10 which is, my understanding, a Stampin' Up family. One of the nice things about these two, I don't know if you can see it, if you can you can zoom in on that, Leanne. You can see that there's a bunch of ink on the outside of this ink pad. Well, it leaked inside the bag. One of the nice things about having your inks, if you're traveling with them in something like this, is it leaked in the bag. It didn't get on everything else, so I was able to open the bag, wipe out the bag, and reseal the ink pad. I had to put a piece of tape on it. It didn't want to stay closed. I don't know if the closure on it is broken, but everything was contained, and because it's plastic, I was just able to wipe the ink off of it when I got to where I was going with that. So color box. This is the Monica bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 ink pads stacked up here I stuffed 2 more on the side there just because I had 2 more and I just want to put them in there. So you can put 11 to 13 color box type ink pads in the Monica bag. The Monica bag is also going to hold, I think, 16 quick quotes inks. What else fits in here? Stamper's Fun Journey fits in this one. So anything that has that kind of squarish shape is going to be a good, the Monica bag is a good option for that. If you love Stephanie Bernard, and you all know I do, this is the Gale bag. These are loaded with Stephanie Bernard inks. And I can get 12 Stephanie Bernard inks, which is 2 sets, right? Each set is 6 ink pads, I believe. I can get 2 sets in one Gale bag. I can store them flat if I want to, but if you know Stephanie, you know she says, hey, my ink pads are super juicy. You don't have to store them flat. So you can stand it up or you can lay it flat if you prefer to do that. That's the Gale bag. Again with Stephanie, if you love her little inks that match the big inks, so they come in a set of 6. This is the Teresa bag, 6 of the mini inks. And I've also stored right in with the mini inks the little pads for each color. So I've got the pads for that, and I also have room in here, stuck on my hook and loop, for the actual handle. So I've got the pads that match the inks and the actual handle, and they're all packed together in one nice, neat little bundle here. Now, color box, again, Stephanie Bernard is a color box artist. Colorbox makes the same size little ink pads in their own brand. So if you're using those are going to fit in here as well. So I've got the pads, I got the handle, and I've got all the inks in that. So that's the Teresa Buddy bag. What else am I missing? I think, I am missing the Leanne bag, which is over here on this cart. So Leanne, if you're unfamiliar, if you haven't met Leanne, Leanne is our newest buddy bag, and she is quite a big girl. Leanne is nice and tall and lean, and she will hold a ton of ink pads. We were playing with the Quick Quotes inks. Sorry for the noise. If you are a Quick Quotes junkie, the Leanne bag will hold 42, actually you could probably get 44 in there, but stacked up, you're going to be able to go 7 across and 6 high, and so you'll be able to get 42 Quick Quotes inks in there. I think with the Stephanie Bernard size inks, I think you can get 4 across and 6 high. So like 24. Almost any of the ink pads I've tried fit in this bag. Tim Holtz, because of the square shape, they're not ideal in here. They really do work best in that Edna bag. Like this. So I would the Oxide inks, those are perfect in the Edna bag. When you look at the Edna bag online, it says ribbon, and it shows ribbon, and it looks rounded. Well, it only looks rounded because the ribbon in there is round, so it forces the plastic top, which is flexible, to be round. But it is, in fact, this same bag. This is a really common question. I want the Tim Holtz bag, but it's different than the ribbon bag. It's not. It's the same thing. Okay. So Catherine Pooler also fits in this size stuff. So Catherine Pooler, Color Box, Fun Stamper's Journey, any of those about that shape are going to go Monica, Gale, or if you have a ton of inks, then you might want to look at the Leanne bag as your option to put all of those together. Did I miss anything on my list here? The Color Box, if you have less Color Box inks, then this is the Monica bag, and so she's perfect for a smaller collection, or not Color Box, sorry, Quick Quotes inks, and you can put 16 in one Monica bag. And again, you can store it flat. You know, you're going to store them this way, 4 across and 4 up, and be able to store it flat if you want to keep them flat. And again, remember, you can put them in upside down, or you can store your bag upside down. So if your color box ink, if you want to store your color box inks upside down, you're just going to tip that bag over this way, and that's going to store it upside down. Let that ink flow to the top of the pad. The Edna bag, the Teresa bag, both work great. So this is Edna and this is Teresa. These both work great. This will hold, for glitter glues and re-inkers, this will hold 10 little re-inker or glitter glue bottles. The Edna bag will hold 30. So these are on the handout from the class handout, which is linked to the class in the website. So that's what each of the bags here is going to show you. The different types of products that'll fit in it, and that is the second to the last page of the handout, and the last page of the handout is just notes. So that's what you want to look for. And then the first page is going to show you and link to the Color Keeper stand and store, the stash and store boxes, and then all of the desk made things. So those are all in the handout from today's class. I think that about covers it. As always, if you have questions, you can email us at customerservice@totally-tiffany.com. You can call us 253-284-9200. I have to be careful there because one time I gave out my cell phone number and then Leanne was laughing at me. Or you can ask questions on Facebook as well. So thanks so much for taking a few minutes to learn about all the products that we offer that can really help you get your crafting, coloring things organized and accessible. For those of you who are joining me for the Get Organized Challenge, I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week.